Hey folks, this is Kalani. We got another Hunter video for you for the pre-patch 7.0 to get back into the swing of things and get your DPS right up there if you want to play Beast Mastery. So this one's going to be for Beast Mastery. Once again, I did say in the marksmanship video that marksmanship was the go-to for the highest DPS. That's still true. Perfect marksmanship play will out perfect Beast Mastery play, but if you're not looking for the tippy-top DPS and you just want to play Beast Mastery, well, I know how you feel. As a note, Beast Mastery is actually destroying AoE, so if you want to be Beast Mastery on those AoE fights, you're probably going to top the meters above any marksman if you're playing really well, and its single target is still quite competitive. So we'll look at single target and multi-target because the talent choices are actually different, which is really nice to see. Variety of playstyle and variety of talents is what I really like in a class. You know, I like having to swap talents and swap playstyle depending on a fight. Playing the exact same way no matter what you're fighting is kind of boring. So we'll look through the abilities that we now have as Beastmaster. We'll see how they interact with each other. We've got quite a few cooldowns actually, so if you want to push a lot of buttons on your Hunter, Beastmaster might actually be the spec to play. Then we'll look through the talents, as I said, and rotation and how things are coming together. So, as a Beastmaster, we still have our favourite ability, Kill Command, which is going to be on cooldown as per usual. We also have Cobra Shot. It's no longer a cast, this is now instant, and is actually your focus dump. It costs 40 focus and causes a bit of physical damage to the target. We also have Dire Beast, so this is working a little differently. This is actually how we regenerate focus now, and it's on an 11-second cooldown, very short, and we actually have a chance to reset this with our critical auto shots. So this can be reset, and it doesn't really affect your current Dire Beast if you throw another one out there. In fact, it's very, very powerful if you do get those resets and throw as many Dire Beasts at the target as possible. As you will see later, our damage kind of increases the amount of animals we have out on the field. Annoyingly, we don't have our artifact yet. That is going to come in Legion, but I can tell you that having as many Dire Beasts out as possible is just ridiculous when you actually get your artifact, because everything about your artifact is about having more beasts out on the field and you empowering them, and they kind of go crazy and destroy everything, so that's cool. We also have Bestial Wrath, because we definitely would not be a Beast Mastery Hunter without it. Currently increases damage by 20% while active. That 35% you see there is actually from a talent, so 20% baseline, and you can see Bestial Wrath's remaining cooldown is reduced by 30 seconds each time you use Dire Beast. That's also not true. That must be a tooltip bug because it's 15 seconds, but when you use Dire Beast, you start chunking the cooldown of Bestial Wrath, so you're actually going to use this much more than just once every 1.5 minutes, and then our last cooldown is Aspect of the Wild. It grants you and your pet focus per second, and 10% increased crit strike chance on all attacks for 10 seconds, giving you a higher chance to then reset that Dire Beast, obviously with your auto shot criticals. So they're kind of the basic abilities that we're using. For multi-target, we also have multi-shot, and multi-shot does still apply your Beast Cleave, so you can see why Beast Mastery is still really strong with AoE. If we still have Beast Cleave, it's kind of disgusting still. We also have all our basic utility from before. We have Concussive Shot, we have Counter Shot, we have Aspect of the Cheetah. If you didn't see the marksmanship video, this is now a very long cooldown, short duration, high movement speed buff, and you basically use it if you need to get out of a pinch. We still have Disengage and Feign Death. We have everything to do with our pet, including Mend Pet, Revive Pet, Feed Pet, all that jazz. We have Misdirection still. We also have Aspect of the Turtle. That is our new deterrence. It's one charge, 3-minute cooldown, deflects all attacks, and reduces the damage you take by 30% for 8 seconds, and you can't attack. And then we have Exhilaration as baseline. Everything else on my bars is to do with talents, or it's actually to do with my pet, like Spirit Mend. So that's kind of not baseline abilities, and that really depends on you as the hunter. So let's have a look at talents, because all those other abilities do need looking at. Right now, for single target, we're going to play with Way of the Cobra to increase your Cobra Shot dependent on how many pets and guardians you have active. So obviously if you get those resets of Dire Beasts, you can up this damage ridiculously, but the idea here is that you're always going to have a pet, so that's 8%, and you are typically always going to have that Dire Beast active, so that baseline increases your damage by 16% on that Cobra Shot, and then anything else you get after that is just extra damage. For single target, we're using Chimera Shot for the next tier. That really adds in for focus regen. It does quite a bit of damage, and it's kind of weird to actually use Chimera Shot as a Beast Mastery Hunter instead of a Marksman Hunter, and it generates focus instead of spending it. so that's kind of done a complete flip, but that is our single target most damaging ability for that tier. For this tier, you've got Post Haste and Fast Rider. Post Haste is typically going to be your default option simply because it gets you to where you want faster with that movement speed increase. You can take Fast Rider if you really want to, it's just going to reset on crits, or some crits. Then we have Bestial Fury, which is the extra 15% damage on Bestial Wrath, which I mentioned earlier. Binding Shot on this tier, as it's typically the best one to go for most scenarios. If you really want the others, or the others are useful to you in a specific scenario, feel free to pick them. A Murder of Crows for single target is currently our highest damaging ability here. It actually benefits from our Beast Mastery, which increases all the damage of our pets, so that's why we're using that. And then the last one is actually kind of not great. These talent choices are kind of pants, and Stampede is winning out. Now Stampede is actually completely different from what it used to be. It's actually similar to the Warcraft 3 Stampede, where you basically just send a line of animals dashing forward and they do damage. So it's a little different than what we used to, but with the Dire Beast resetting, we basically have a Stampede active almost all the time, which is great. But you can see we've got those all down here. Chimera Shot, we've got Stampede, we've got Murder of Crows, and everything works together really nicely. So let's talk about rotation and priority, because Beast Mastery is standard priority rotation. It's not going to be press this, then this, then this. It's going to be press this, keep it on cooldown, then keep this on cooldown, then keep this on cooldown in an order of priority. And that priority with this build would be to keep Kill Command on cooldown, keep Chimera Shot on cooldown, keep Dire Beast on cooldown, and then use Cobra Shot when you're above 90 focus. So the only real use we have for Cobra Shot is making sure we don't focus cap unless we're during Bestial Wrath, and then you want to kind of spend as much focus as possible, but still making sure you have enough to throw off Kill Command and keep everything going. Because we also have focus costs in a Murder of Crows, which needs to go off as soon as it comes off cooldown, so you keep a Murder of Crows on cooldown, you keep Stampede on cooldown, you keep Bestial Wrath on cooldown, and you keep Aspect of the Wild on cooldown. You should try and pair Aspect of the Wild with Bestial Wrath as much as possible, which is why I actually have them macroed together into Bestial Wrath, so keep an eye on that. If it's not going to line up well with Bestial Wrath, just go ahead and use it. There's no point keeping it for 30 seconds, because that may be another use later on in the fight, so keep that in mind. And also with this cooldown reduction tie-in between Bestial Wrath and Dire Beast, if your Bestial Wrath is only got 5 or 4 seconds left, don't Dire Beast, because you're losing those 10 seconds which could be off the next Bestial Wrath, and get that back quicker. So it's kind of simple to begin with, and then you start getting a little more complicated. So your actual opener is going to be Stampede into a Murder of Crows, Bestial Wrath with Aspect of the Wild, Dire Beast, Kill Command, Chimera, and then go from there. And that kind of works around your focus costs as well. So remember, keep Kill Command on cooldown, keep Chimera on cooldown, Dire Beast on cooldown, and then Cobra Shot above 90 focus. 90 focus is that sweet spot. If you don't go above 90 focus, don't touch Cobra Shot. So, let's see how it plays. You can see the cooldown just being chunked off of Bestial Wrath, and it's actually really nice to see. It's one of the most satisfying buttons to press, really, as a Beast Mastery Hunter. So again, try not to touch Cobra Shot. It's super, super tempting, I know, but don't touch it unless you absolutely have to. Try and use as many Cobra Shots during Bestial Wrath, though, as you can. Remember not to focus cap either. And you can see it's actually quite simple, and quite nice to play, I'll be honest. Things get a little more complicated later on when you have your artifact and you have quite a few extra buttons to push and a lot to maintain, and you kind of have to make the most of the situation that you're in, because a lot actually revolves around how many beasts you have active, and you want a lot of beasts active before you use those extra cooldowns. So it can be a little frustrating, but you see we're going to wait and Bestial Wrath first and then Dire Beast. Finally got a reset for the Dire Beast. And right now, single target, not in a raid, just our own damage, we're kicking out just under 40k. So it's not that terrible. It matches Marksman almost until you get the extra 1 or 2 targets, and then Marksman kind of destroys Beast Mastery, which is unfortunate, but that's the way it's going to play. So when it comes to multi-target, and once again this is going to be when you have 3 or more targets almost continuously throughout the fight, we're going to swap a few of these things around. So Wave the Cobra goes to Dire Stable, because we're not going to be using Cobra Shot all that much on an AoE fight, and the extra focus from Dire Beast allows us to keep Beast Cleave up more by giving us more opportunity to use multi-shot, and then we also don't want Chimera Shot, we want Stomp, which when your Dire Beast charge in, they will stomp the ground, dealing AoE damage to nearby enemies. One other change is a Murder of Crows. Now, curiously, Volley is doing a bit more damage than Barrage right now when your targets are stacked up. Now, if your targets aren't stacked up and they're spread out, Barrage is a better choice, and I'll say all of the Hunter specs seem to really struggle when your targets are spread out. And obviously your Beast Cleave isn't going to do anywhere near as much, but if you do have spread out targets, make sure to use Barrage instead of Volley, but if you do have group targets, use Volley instead. Now, Volley is a toggle, and when you toggle it on, every auto attack will cost 3 focus and fire a volley of arrows, as you would expect. So you can see that, and it's on every auto attack, so it's, again, a bit more focus demanding to use this, but that's why we swapped a few talents around. So as far as rotation and priorities go, it stays pretty much the same, except we swapped out a few abilities for a few other abilities, and we need to keep Beast Cleave up using multi-shot. So our Beast Cleave is the first priority, obviously, because we're AoEing, and make sure that Volley stays on, so keep Beast Cleave up as much as possible. Use Kill Command on cooldown, use Dire Beast on cooldown, and the rest is exactly the same. So use Bestial Wrath with Aspect of the Wild whenever you can, keep Stampede on cooldown. We don't have a Murder of Crows anymore, but everything else stays the same. As long as you keep those abilities on cooldown, keeping Beast Cleave up, you're going to destroy the damage on AoE. Now, the only other thing is Cobra Shot can be used if you're going to focus cap, but typically it's better to use your multi-shot to focus dump, because obviously we need to keep that Beast Cleave active. And that's how you AoE as a Beast Mastery Hunter. It's actually easier than the single target because a lot of it is passive. So what about stats? Because they changed a lot for Marksmanship Hunter, and they changed a little bit for Beast Mastery as well. Right now we're looking at Haste for our top, Versatility for our second, which is a little strange, but Mastery comes in at a very close third. It seems as though Versatility is kind of stacking nicer than Mastery, and obviously Versatility is going to increase your damage, where Mastery only increases your pet's damage. So Versatility an edge over Mastery right now, meaning you might have to change a few things about your gear. So Haste and Versatility, Mastery a close third, and Crit actually comes in at the bottom, which I was quite surprised with. Apparently those Dire Beast resets don't affect our DPS all that much right now, I guess because we don't have a great deal of abilities from our artifacts, which affects our damage based on how many pets we currently have. Now, I talked about the issues that Marksmanship was having, and Beast Mastery has a few issues of its own. The first thing is that its single target, while it's quite competitive, is a touch lower, and when you go to 2 targets, its damage doesn't increase that much because the AoE spec, the AoE version of Beast Mastery, isn't quite worth it yet. So you need to hit those 3 targets, meaning that a 2-target cleave fight actually doesn't benefit you as much as it would benefit Marksman, which is a lot of the fights in Hellfire Citadel, and is actually why Marksmanship is currently the better choice for most of the fights there. If you have a pure single target fight, you can probably compete relatively well, but as soon as that second target is added, you kind of fall behind, and then if a third target is added, you catch back up a bit. But that middle ground is really difficult to deal with, and then the other thing that is really difficult to deal with is if targets are spread out. If targets are spread out, you can't really hit more than one, making you once again a single target, and your swapping potential isn't that great because your single target burst, while really high at the start, you don't have all of those cooldowns available to swap onto a target, and if you hold them to swap onto a target, you're going to be losing a lot of DPS on the other target, which is probably a huge DPS loss overall. So it's quite frustrating. If you're on a single target fight, no problem. 2 targets, if they're spread out, frustrating as hell. If they're close together, frustrating as hell. 3 targets, and you're pretty much golden. But we don't really have that fight in Hellfire Citadel. So maybe going forward to Legion, once we have the artifact in and that empowers all of our beasts, things might look a lot better. But that is Beast Mastery Hunter right now for the pre-patch in 7.0. Hopefully, I answered all your questions somewhere in that rabble. Hopefully. But if you do have any questions that I did not answer, please leave them in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. If you want to ask me anything else about Legion, about pre-patch, ask it down there as well, and I will do my best. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.